I will call the village board meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Gus. Here. Trustee Jensen.
Here.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Otterson. Here. Trustee Sittig is absent. Trustee Wells.
Here.
Attorney Magna. Mayor Hooker and
Here.
Clerk McDonald here.
All right, we have a quorum. If you would all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item of business we have tonight is a consent agenda, which includes the following: the approval of minutes from the April 24th, 2014 board meeting. Bills presented for payment in the amount of $139,553.82. The building, planning and zoning, code enforcement, and public safety reports. Is there anything that the board would like to have pulled and discussed separately? Is there anything that the public would like to have pulled and discussed separately? There being none, I would accept a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Otterson.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
And Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to trustee reports. First report we have tonight is building and zoning. Trustee Wells.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to bring forth an ordinance that we had discussed at our previous meeting. I'd like to move toward untabling the ordinance to consider amending the ordinance regarding medical cannabis facilities. That ordinance was tabled at the last meeting. Some of our board members felt they didn't have adequate time to mull over that. Therefore, we actually tabled it to allow some of our trustees the opportunity to gather more information, to do some research, and to feel comfortable in what we were moving forward in terms of legislation for this particular matter. Since then, staff, John and staff has sent various board members additional information where they could look over to gain more insight and more knowledge of the subject. Hopefully, that information has answered any questions that might be pending, and hopefully, at this time, board members feel comfortable in the amount of information they've got in moving forth with this issue.
Okay, so would you be making a motion to remove it from the table?
Yes, sir, I would.
We have a motion to remove the ordinance that had been previously tabled at the last meeting from the table. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All right, a roll call, please.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Otterson.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
And Trustee Jensen.
Aye. Motion has carried. The item is removed from the table and is available to be considered.
Okay. And just for those individuals that may not have been available for the last meeting, what we're looking at is a petition of which the Village of Beach Park is seeking a text amendment to various sections to deal with various conditional use for parking requirements, ordinances to accommodate standards for medical cannabis cultivation centers and dispensaries. The State of Illinois has enacted a Compassionate Use of Medical Cannabis Pilot Program Act to provide for the growing and distribution of medical cannabis through licensed cultivated centers and dispensaries, respectively, with the ability of municipalities to provide reasonable zoning regulations to oversee their siting and administration. The village is pursuing the text amendment to provide reasonable zoning standards for medical cannabis facilities. And basically, staff has drafted a proposed text amendment based on the model standards developed by Lake County Medical Marijuana Task Force with revisions, adjustments, and specifically address the unique and particular situation of the village. And it will also address beyond the state requirements of setbacks. It will address for schools, childcare uses. Text amendment provides for additional setback requirements for traditionally protected land use, including places of worship, cemeteries, parks, forest preserves, and substance abuse treatment facilities for both cultivation centers and dispensaries. And it also will address issues regarding exterior display, signage, advertising, parking, and so forth. And with that said, I'd like to bring that forth, entertain a motion to consider to pass the ordinance.
Okay, so that is in the form of a motion to approve ordinance considering the amending the Village Beach Park zoning ordinance to address medical cannabis facilities.
That is correct.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Discussion.
Yeah. I appreciate the opportunity that the board has afforded me to do a little bit more research and learn a little bit more about this. And I've learned a lot in the last 2 weeks. The Department of Public Health has 48 pages of regulations pending. They're having hearings on that as we speak. Later this month, another hearing in Springfield to come. The state regulation, proposed regulations are voluminous. I couldn't read them all. I didn't have enough ink in my printer to print them all. I'm quite confident, despite my misgivings about the folks we've sent to Springfield, that in this case, they've done a pretty good job of putting together very restrictive regulations that still provide for the compassionate use as the law is titled. And I have reservations about adding on top of that additional restrictions, even though the likelihood of one of these things, certainly under the state law, we couldn't have, as Jeremiah pointed out, we couldn't have a cultivation facility anyhow. But under state law, we could have some of the dispensary, a dispensary, theoretically. Looking at the regulations that we are proposing in this zoning change, as Jeremiah pointed out, there's one spot in the village where that, under our additional restrictions, that type of use would be permitted. I don't think that Walgreens or CVS would be permitted if they were dispensaries of marijuana under this regulation. Yet they dispense much more dangerous substances. And I think we have to get over the stigma that this substance has and look at what's behind it. Look at the regulation, the reason behind the regulation. And for that reason, I don't intend to support this change. I'd prefer to see an amendment to remove the additional restrictions, particularly those that we've added with respect to location. I don't have a big problem with the parking, the security, all that kind of stuff. I don't have a problem with that so much as restricting it to areas, distance from churches, cemeteries. I don't see the real reason for that. I don't think we're impacting their property values. We're not allowing signage. It's not a garish, this is, indeed, if it is a compassionate use, I don't think that'd be inappropriate, say, along Green Bay Road. Some of the areas near churches within 1,000 feet or whatever it was that we're restricting, I don't know that that would be an impact on a church or a cemetery for that matter. So that's my sentiment on it.
Trustee, in all due respect, just wanted to mention to you that this issue is actually, this ordinance and this law is actually evolving as we speak. As you indicated, there's future hearings that will take place. What we're actually looking to do right now is just put something in place with the understanding that this is an evolving situation, an evolving law, and at some future point in time, if need be, we have the option to come back and tweak it as we see fit.
One comment I've heard about the evolution is that the state is weighing any restrictions on siting with regards to residential uses, and that's fresh off the press today or yesterday. So there's some question as to whether the state really has established the standards as of yet. As we know, they're all in motion. And so that is, it's a valid point that Trustee Wells makes is, I guess one position we could take is, well, let's be safe first. And by safe, I don't mean that evil things will come out of this, but I'm sure there are people in the community that feel strongly in every direction, as in most cases we have. We do have the ability to consider varying these requirements ourselves if we can see a little better and a little clearer what this actually is. Jeremiah, our consultant, was on the county's task force and was looking very hard at potential activities. A dispensary to me sounds like a little mom and pop shop, and you walk in the door and you say hi and you get your stuff and you leave. the county or the task force opinion was that there may need to be 200 parking spaces. We don't have a lot of places in the village that we could accommodate that kind of traffic, much less that kind of volume of space without being out on one of the major roads. So I don't think we have a clear vision yet as to what we're trying to encourage or discourage. We're kind of in that nebulous place that got us into having a outright moratorium to start with, because we didn't know. And that was more than 6 months ago, and here we are, and we still don't know. So that's I think, partly how we got where we are.
I almost think we have to expect that this is going to continue to be a document that will be tweaked. I heard today that Colorado is looking at legislation to address the gap in the whole banking regulations as far as the business being just a cash and carry and not being able to be handled with bank deposits, and you know, that can't last. So that, you know, they're full into it. So they're just changing their processes. That's going to trickle down into everybody else who's doing anything with it at all. So I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. But to Trustee Wells' point, if we have the framework in place, we can modify the framework as we go, as need be. My opinion.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion on the floor to consider approval of ordinance 17. Roll call, please.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
No.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Motion carries. In light of that, then I assume there is no need to carry on with item B? on the
Yes, we
agenda?
will, if we could strike that from the agenda, sir.
Okay.
That's a mute issue at this point.
Okay,
And with that, I conclude my report.
thank you. All right. Moving on, we had a TIF committee tonight, meeting. There was some discussion, but no decision of any magnitude. We are continuing to negotiate on a potential TIF development, but nothing to report at this time. Public Works Trustee Addison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is no official report under Public Works, but I believe maybe later under the engineering, we'll have a discussion. So I will offer my time to the next report.
Thank you. Finance Committee Trustee Jensen.
Only one item, Mayor, and I'm pleased to announce that our Finance Director and her staff have once again, am I right on that?
Once
Yes,
again.
once again, been honored with recognition by GFOA, which is a Government Finance Officers Association, and they've been awarded, I don't remember the name of the award, Achievement of Excellence in Financial Reporting Award. And I think that, as a matter of fact, the mayor has an award. If our finance director will step forward and the lady from the press will get her
Photo op.
camera out.
Come on. I told you I was going to embarrass you. Someone has a camera. We're just going to wait for that. I will say this. This is the 4th year in a row that Peggy has received this award. And I'll say that
Her name's on it, though.
Peggy has received the recognition while the village is receiving this award. That being said, that as you all know, the reason that we're able to be successful in running this village without a real estate tax, without any levy coming to the village, unlike most of the other communities in the county, is because we have responsible reporting, transparent reporting. We have a staff that's very much in tune with the board's direction and recognizing that we only have so many dollars coming in, and the leashes are held very tight there. So my appreciation to Peggy, and this is the award from GFOA, and just congratulations and thank you. I know. I don't get to get her that often.
I thought she had a speech prepared.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Well, that was a good report. Thank you very much. All right, moving on. Public safety, is there any report on behalf of trustee Siddick tonight?
No report, Your Honor.
All right. Public relations, trustee Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a little follow-up to the prescription drug take-back day. It was publicized that by day's end, and that was April 26th, 96 pounds of pills, patches, and other prescriptions were collected here at the Beach Park Village Hall, and more than half of this was collected during the first hour. So I think we can feel safe in expressing our gratitude to everybody who helped out with that effort, and hope that we can do another one later in the year. The word seems to spread more and more each time, so.
Well, it's not often you get to hand your drugs to the law enforcement community with no questions asked.
Right, right, exactly.
Take advantage.
Exactly. With no consequences.
No consequences, yep.
And then just one other item, there's been some publicity lately about a grant that Beach Park was awarded, $60,000 for Governor Pat Quinn's investment in Lake County communities, which includes $755,000 for abandoned properties. And I would just like to give a public shout out to our village administrator for going after that grant for us and securing it. We really appreciate that.
Yep. Thank you, John.
And that ends my report.
Okay. And now Parks and Recreation, trustee Gust.
Yes, just one item. I just want to let you guys know that we are working diligently on our 25th anniversary plans. Can't say too much because we're still crossing Ts and dotting a lot of Is. So that's going to be forthcoming.
Very good.
Should be a good one.
Looking forward to it. And that will be in August.
Yes.
Okay.
It'll
Excellent.
be Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday. So,
Okay.
that ends my report.
Very good. John, did you want to handle the village engineer's report tonight?
Trustee Otterson is prepared to handle that, Your Honor.
I tried to get the excitement going with a little segue earlier, but you, thank you, John. The request on behalf of the engineer tonight was for us to approve payout number 5 for the Beach Road reconstruction project. If you'll recall, this was a 70-30 grant that we got. The 70% was coming from federal money, and we were paying 30%. We were just saying that this pay request is from expenditures from June of 13. So they're a little behind on their request, but whatever they request, we know we have to pay our share. So this particular request, the dollar amount is $26,179.80. So I would make a motion that we approve payment in that amount.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. It's nice of them to let us use our money that long.
Yeah, that's right.
It's generous. All right. Roll call, please.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
And Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And I believe that concludes the engineer's report.
Very good. Anything from our treasurer tonight? Thank you. John, have you got anything for the administrator report?
I have a couple of items really for the public. They are in the board reports tonight. The village residents had received a couple of mailings in the past couple of days really, and some of them may not have received all of them yet. There's 2 issues that the village is working on currently. One was the electric aggregation. The current electric aggregation prices are good through June of this year. The village, at the previous board meeting, authorized the mayor to execute a new contract for the electric aggregation. The village went out for pricing on the electric aggregation twice in the past month, and the first price came in at 7.49. Ultimately, after discussion with the mayor, staff, we decided to wait and give it another try. About 3 weeks later, we tried to get pricing again, and the prices came in a little bit lower at 7.37. So the village did sign a contract, a 1-month extension, ultimately just for the month of July for the electric aggregation. Every time the village changes the price of the electric aggregation, the residents are entitled to a new notice and a new opt-out. And that's what the residents have received towards the end of last week or the beginning of this week. That is only a 1-month price. The village felt that we could get a better price for our residents than that. Yesterday, ComEd did announce their new prices for the year, and that is basically about 8 cents. And so that's the price that we are looking to beat. So even the 7.37 is still a small savings for the residents, but the village is hoping to get a price that's even lower than that. The other issue that the residents are starting to get notification on is the garbage franchise, the single garbage hauler. As has been discussed in a few previous board meetings, the village did sign a contract with Advanced Disposal for a single contract waste hauler in the Village of Beach Park. The residents have started receiving notification from Advanced Disposal with the service options that they can select from for their particular household needs. It is a number of options available to the residents dependent upon whether they need landscaping service, what size recycling service that they need, as well as what size of garbage service that they need. So that notice will be received this week as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any report from our attorney tonight?
No report, Your Honor.
All right. And how about our clerk?
No report.
All right. Well, I'd like to add something, but I'm at a loss as to what that would be. So we'll move on to citizens addressing the board. Now would be the time for any citizen that would like to address the board. Please come to the podium, state your name, your address, and your case.
I'll just pass them down.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
I don't even know if I need this. I have pretty projecting voice.
Well, it is being televised, so please speak
Good.
into the microphone. Yeah.
Okay, my name is Sue Davern. I live at 12172 West 29th Street, and thank you, Mr. Otterson, for passing that handout to the trustees. On the second page, I've highlighted the areas that I'm going to speak about tonight. There are 3 lots, and this is regarding Special Service Area Number 12. So first, I would like to express my thank yous to the village administrator, the engineer who, please tell her I'm happy for the work she's put in, apparently not here tonight, to Mr. Magna, the village attorney, for his assistance, and to the Water Committee for their endeavors to provide water to the people in the village. My proposal tonight, May 8th, is to include 3 additional lots in SSA 12. There are 3 lots on 29th Street, 12151, 12143, 12107, that are located at the east end of the south side of 29th Street, which is contingent with SSA 12. The proposed SSA 12 water main will run in front of these 3 properties. When asked why these 3 lots were not included in the SSA 12, even though the water will be in front of these properties, the village administrator said that at the public hearing, that it was known to the village that these 3 lots were not in favor of water and that they probably wouldn't hook up. So the number of lots that are benefited in my special SSA 12 that were my residence is, one of the parcels is the former site of the Beach Park Public Works, and it's already been paid for per the information that was given to us. So the cost quoted in our ordinance as written is $531,800, and it's to be split among the remaining 18 properties in our SSA 12, which equates to $29,544 per parcel. The proposed addition of the aforementioned 3 parcels, which of course have that water main right in front of their homes, or will have, would bring the cost down to $25,323 per parcel among the then 21 lots, if we are able to successfully add these 3 lots into the special service area. So this would mean a difference of an additional $4,221 for each of the current unpaid 18 properties that are included in SSA 12, which was described at our public hearing on April 2nd, so that the water can be provided to the frontage of all 22, which includes the extra 3 lots. So shouldering the additional expenses of this water main for the frontage of 22 properties places an undue burden of over $4,000 on the 18 properties that are listed in SSA 12. And I realize that this may be a burden to the 3 lots that are not currently included in SSA 12. However, if all 22 lots will have frontage access to the water, it only seems fair that we all share in the cost of the proposed water main, and that this burden becomes easier to manage for all of us. At the public hearing of April 2nd, amidst many questions, objections, and comments, I was told that I could present this issue to the village board and that this request would be given consideration. So tonight I'm asking the board, our elected officials, for that consideration, please. Please consider making the fair decision to include all properties in SSA 12, which will have ample and fair access to the proposed water main in front of their property. I respectfully ask that you consider this proposal and try to get back to me before the close of business day Tuesday, May 13th, because we do have a deadline that we're working under, the 60-day objection timeframe. And if you could please, the people that have gathered together to make this proposal are asking for a roll call poll of our trustees, whether you were yea or nay on this proposal.
Okay, just to be clear, there's no way that we can consider this tonight as it's not on our published agenda. Our next board meeting isn't scheduled for another 2 weeks. We're just,
So-
that's the
So what
law.
since I've handed you the paperwork tonight, then can it be considered and an answer be given in the 2 weeks?
It could be considered at the next board meeting, which would be the second meeting of the month. Or,
Okay.
excuse me, it'd be the second, it's the 20.
So you like meet in session first and then you have the public meeting?
No,
No.
we
We have two
can't.
Oh, you would
meetings a
talk
month.
about it.
It-
You would talk about it
Yeah,
at the
so
next
this
meeting?
has to be discussed at a public meeting where it's been published on the agenda,
Okay,
so that everybody that could or would be interested in having that conversation or participating in it, much like the hearings and all the rest, would have ample opportunity
Okay.
to witness that discussion and to
okay, I understand.
participate.
So I'm entering the information then for you to consider at the next meeting,
Thank you.
correct?
Oh,
All right, great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure, please.
Procedure. Ms. Devern and trustees and mayor, just so maybe there's some comfort, because this has been a very civilized proceeding. I've spoken with you at length and appreciate very much, because some objectors, when I leave, I have one sleeve ripped off my suit and I have to get a new suit. So, but just so there's maybe a comfort level, I know that 60 days is a critically important date in this process. And by no means am I saying cease and desist your efforts, because they may reconsider. You have to do what you have to do in that regard, in that 60 days. But be assured that if the 60 days comes and goes, and there's no objection petition filed sufficient, to defeat it, according to the statute, the special service area is not automatically formed. There still is the formalized step of this board to actually pass an ordinance forming the special service area number 12. So there is, if there's discussion, that can still continue depending on what the board wants to give as parameters for time in that. But I'm hoping that no one is thinking that if the 60-day comes and goes, it's automatically formed. It only means that then the board has within its discretion to form it or not to form it in the configuration that it was originally presented.
Okay. So
Okay?
if the discussion at the next meeting is where you are thinking that you might consider adding those 3 lots, then you might, beyond the 60 days, decide to put together a new SSA with that inclusion.
We're talking the theoretical now.
Okay.
If the board chose to expand the boundaries to include these 3 lots of
Right.
special service area number 12, because it represents more than 5% of the original area, they would have to go through the process again of notification and the process in hearings as we just went through. I
Oh,
mean, they
okay.
can do it.
So then it might be
But-
like another 60 days and people could do the
Well,
petitions?
that
or-
would actually reengage it in petitions, yes, then the petition, the right to petition for objection would be renewed. That 60-day period would be renewed
Okay, good.
if they chose to go forward that way.
All right, well,
Yes.
thanks for that clarification.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay. There being no one else, we have no cause tonight for an executive session. So we are on to other business and/or adjournment.
One point, if it is the intent of the board to put this on the agenda at a future meeting, I would suggest that we notify all the other interested parties in this.
Certainly, certainly.
So that they are aware of the fact that it's on the agenda, and I know there are folks that support Ms. Devlin,
Dabber.
Yep.
Davern, and there are those who are not, who have been coming begging for water in that area, so
Yep.
we want them all to be heard.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to
Second.
adjourn and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
And Trustee Wells.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Mr. Gust, suggestion?